Every morning, your two fist-sized kidneys filter roughly 50 gallons of blood, silently, without asking for anything in return. They have been doing this your entire life, cleaning, filtering, protecting you from waste your body produces just by existing. And for the last 50 years, while you were following the dietary guidelines your government told you were safe, while you were buying the low-fat yogurt packed with added sugar, while you were eating the fat-free cookies loaded with refined carbohydrates, your kidneys were quietly paying the price. Here is what nobody put on the label, and here is what happens when you finally stop. The moment you quit sugar, the first battle doesn't happen in your stomach. It happens in your brain. Sugar triggers dopamine, the same molecule activated by nicotine, alcohol, and cocaine. Your brain's reward center, the nucleus accumbens, lights up every time sugar arrives. Over years of daily sugar intake, your dopamine receptors dull. They stop responding as strongly, so your brain demands more sugar just to feel normal. When sugar disappears, those receptors begin waking up. But the process feels like withdrawal because it is. Headaches, irritability, cravings that feel emotional rather than physical. You are not hungry. Your stomach is calm. But your brain is screaming for the reward surge it once received effortlessly. Here is the twist most people miss. The intensity of those cravings is not a sign that you are failing. It is evidence that your dopamine system is beginning to repair itself. The stronger it feels, the more aggressively your brain is recalibrating. Stanford imaging studies showed that repeated sugar surges physically shrink dopamine pathways over time. Without sugar, those pathways begin growing back. You are not suffering from weakness. You are detoxing from a substance the food industry spent billions of dollars making sure you consumed every single day. By day 3, something quieter begins happening in your kidneys, and this is where the story gets darker before it gets better. For years, high insulin from constant sugar intake sent a signal to your kidneys to hold sodium, to trap water, to maintain pressure. Your kidneys were not malfunctioning. They were following instructions driven by insulin levels your body was never designed to sustain. When you quit sugar and insulin finally drops, your kidneys interpret this as permission to release. Sodium exits through urine, water follows, and for the first time in years, the fluid your body had been hoarding begins to clear. Your face feels less swollen in the morning, your jawline sharper, your eyelids lighter. Most people mistake this for fat loss. It is not. For every gram of glycogen your body stored, it held nearly 3 grams of water beside it. That water is now leaving sometimes 1 to 3 kilograms in the first week alone. But here is what makes this moment significant beyond the scale. The research showing how chronically elevated insulin damages kidney filtration research, linking decades of high-sugar diets to glomerular hyperfiltration, to nephron death, to the silent progression toward chronic kidney disease that research existed. It was published. It was available. And the industry that paid Harvard scientists to pin the blame for disease on fat rather than sugar knew it. Around day 7, the visible changes slow, and a heavy fog drifts across your thoughts. This fog is not failure. It is friction, the metabolic friction created when your body abandons its default fuel source and reaches for something older and more sustainable. For decades, glucose has been your primary energy source. Fast, convenient, always available. But now, with glycogen reserves emptying, your liver steps into its evolutionary role. It begins synthesizing glucose through a process called gluconeogenesis, not from dietary sugar, but from amino acids and fats already in your body. Your mitochondria, the power generators inside every cell, are forced to adapt. They increase their efficiency. They begin processing fatty acids more effectively. And over the following days, your energy stabilizes into something longer and smoother than anything sugar ever provided. The brain fog you feel is neurons transitioning from glucose toward ketones. Ketones burn cleaner. But your brain resists at first because it has been running on sugar its entire life. The NIH describes this transition as the rebuilding of metabolic flexibility, a human advantage that high-sugar diets systematically erode over time. Your weakest days arrive right before your strongest metabolic phase begins. By day 10, the fog begins lifting. And something else begins, something you can see. Your skin looks slightly brighter, your joints feel lighter. The inflammation that lived so quietly in your face, your fingers, your lower back begins receding. This is not cosmetic, it is biochemical. For years, excess glucose in your bloodstream attached to proteins through a process called glycation. These reactions formed compounds scientists call AGs, advanced glycation end products. The Mayo Clinic describes them as molecular rust, slowly stiffening collagen, weakening elastin, scarring kidney tissue from the inside. When you quit sugar, the rusting slows. Collagen fibers begin regaining flexibility, joints feel less swollen, inflammatory molecules called cytokines, which sugar spikes trigger, constantly begin declining. Your immune system becomes quieter. Not weaker, quieter. No longer in a state of constant low-grade alarm. And deep within your kidneys, something measurable happens. One of the earliest signs of kidney damage is protein leaking into urine, a sign that the filtration barrier has been compromised. Studies show that when sugar is significantly reduced, this protein leakage decreases. The barrier strengthens. The damage, which took years to accumulate, begins reversing. This is not wellness marketing. It is a biological change you can measure in a laboratory. Around day 13, something unexpected happens on your tongue. Your taste buds renew roughly every 10 days. The ones you have now have never been exposed to your previous sugar levels. And without constant sweetness overwhelming them, they have regained a sensitivity they lost years ago. A plain apple tastes vibrant, complex, surprisingly sweet. Not because apples changed, because you did. But taste is only the surface of what is happening. Deeper hormonal shifts are reshaping your appetite entirely. When insulin stays consistently low, your brain finally hears leptin clearly, possibly for the first time in years. Leptin is your fullness signal, the internal voice that says enough before overeating begins. High sugar intake silences that voice, creating a biological illusion of endless hunger. With sugar gone, that silence breaks. You feel satisfied earlier, you eat less without trying, and you stop eating for stimulation and start eating because your body actually needs fuel. Harvard neuroscientists call BDNF brain-derived neurotrophic factor fertilizer for the brain. Sugar suppresses it. Removing sugar allows it to rise. As it does, memory sharpens, mood stabilizes, and emotional eating loses its grip. You no longer chase food for comfort. You eat because you are genuinely hungry. This is what the industry that designed your food did not want you to discover. That your appetite was never broken, it was hijacked, and it takes approximately 30 days without their product to get it back. By day 30, you are not the same person who quit sugar. Your dopamine system has recalibrated, your kidneys are filtering under less pressure, your inflammation markers have dropped, your insulin sensitivity has improved, your taste buds have reset. Your appetite is finally your own. None of this required a prescription, none of this required surgery, none of this required a product someone could sell you. It required removing something that should never have been added in the first place, something that was added quietly, deliberately, and profitably, while the research warning about it was buried, dismissed, and defunded. The 2016 investigation at the University of California found that the Sugar Research Foundation had paid Harvard scientists in 1965 to conduct reviews specifically designed to clear sugar of involvement in heart disease. The lead researcher later became the head of nutrition at the United States Department of Agriculture, the agency that wrote America's dietary guidelines. Your kidneys have been paying for that decision ever since. But 30 days is enough to begin reversing it. And the question is not whether the science supports it. It does. Completely, unambiguously, and it has for decades. The question is whether you were ever told. If this is the first time you are hearing this, watch this next. The full story of how the low-fat diet lie started, and who paid for it.